The following video has been brought to you with the generous aid of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to join them, consider pledging at least $1 a month to get early access to my videos. There are other tiers with other rewards as well. If you can't afford even $1 a month, don't worry about it. Just like or upvote this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or follow on VidMe. I appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoy the video, and as always, keep it casual, y'all. I kind of want to do fun 5e builds again. Yeah, it's been a while since I played D&D. I'm not really feeling all that inspired for characters to play. Maybe if I go back to the source, something from a franchise that I really love, something I want to create. But where could I possibly find inspiration for... I will be the prince of all fun 5e builds once again! Why are we here? No. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. As much as I love Rush, something of this caliber requires something a little more... super, perhaps. Hit my music. Hello out there, casual fanatics, and welcome back to Fun 5e Builds, the show where I take characters from various different franchises that I love and try to create something akin to them in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I'm your host, the Casual Shadow, Jeremy, and for this particular episode, we're going to a special set, and this is going to be one of two, inspired partially by Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, partially by my little brother David of Ace of Hearts Gaming, and also partially by Team 4 Star's Masako X and his character Pada. I've decided to dig into the Dragon Ball universe and create a couple of characters that might have been pulled out of, say, one of the 6 universes that was destroyed by Zeno for whatever insane reason. So, to that end, I'm going to start with a character that shares some ties with some of the most powerful people in the universe, some people who have been known as emperors, kings, and tyrants, and a clan that has a very distinct and dire hatred for filthy monkeys. Yes, we're building a Frieza Race clan, and I want to do something a little different. I want to give you the backstory first, and then we'll go into the mechanics. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jelatto, a Frieza Race clan, Ki Fighter, and an exile. See, most members of the Frieza Race are evil aligned to some kind, but Gelatto's always been different. Among other things, as you can see, he's much more colorful than some of the Frieza Race clan that you might have seen, like Frieza or Cooler or Frost or King Cold. He's shines a lot brighter with his purple, blue, and pink coloration, which, by the way, are the colors of the Bi-Pride flag. And aside from that, he just has a generally good temperament. He's never been one for that whole planet-conquering, destroy all opposition kind of a thing. That's not been his style. He'd rather befriend people and bring them into the Empire, rather than completely obliterate any possible threat to his elders. And that's got him into a lot of conflicts. He had some friendships in his early life and even a relationship or two in his early life, but because of who he was, because of his fairly kind nature, and because of his distinct coloration, everything before him has always seemed to fall apart. And then there came to a head where there was this one planet in the Empire that ended up completely obliterated. Now, it was a planet that the race was just trying to colonize or conquer. And Jelatto was a part of the task force assigned for that, against his will, he had managed to get the planet annexed peacefully. Until a member of his party decided to blow the planet the fuck up out of spite. That was blamed largely on Jelatto. Jelatto was exiled and banished from the kingdom for wasting valuable resources. As a result, he does not tend to stand for injustice all that well, and he has a very heart for those who have been falsely accused or who are perpetrated by some crazy, insane sense of justice. Still, he does love his race, he does love his home, and he does want to find himself a place to belong and then come back to show his race the kind of people that they can truly be. Unfortunately, partially because of the false accusations and mostly just because of that particular nature in him, not wanting to spread it to other people, there are people from his race who would want to see him dead. But, as you're about to find out, Jelatto is nothing if not capable of survival. So, let's take a look at the stats here. Like I said, he's a Ki Fighter, 4th level, exile background, and mechanically we'll go into what that means a little bit later on. I tend to go with neutral good or good alignments myself, just because that's how I roll most of the time. So, really, I can't play anything else than good aligned or lawful neutral characters at most. So I decided to make Jelatto kind of oddity in the Frieza clan. Neutral good. Let's take a look at the stats themselves. And the Frieza race gives a little bit of bonus to dexterity and constitution, which is good for the Ki Fighter because it does primarily use constitution with some dexterity and strength behind it. Strength is a 14, dexterity a 14, constitution a 17, intelligence a 15, wisdom a 12, and charisma a 9. He's not the most charismatic kind of guy, not really the kind of guy who can draw you into him, but he certainly knows what he's talking about, and quite erudite, quite wise. Though some of his race may see him as a naive child, in truth, on the grander scheme of things, he knows what's up. To that end, we have the skill check saving throws. Strength saving throw is a respectable +2. His training is in dexterity and constitution, so those are a +4 and a +5 respectively. +2 to intelligence, +1 to wisdom, and -1 to charisma. But hey, he's trying to show his point in his own way. It doesn't necessarily need to be through words. It just needs to be done. Alright. As a Ki Fighter, he's trained in acrobatics and athletics, so those are both at a +4. As an exile, he is trained in deception and survival. Now, this is part of how he was able to get the planet annexed. Now, he may be a good guy, but being neutral, he's not above bending the rules to get there, to get what he wants a little bit, and he was able to annex the planet peacefully, mostly by trying to get the people to consider that, well, they more than likely wouldn't blow them the fuck up. That almost literally blew up in his face. So you can see the various different skill checks here. Of course, the charisma ones, except for deception, are lesser. And his major skill checks here are, of course, going to be acrobatics, athletics, and survival. And to that end, he does have a pretty good passive wisdom for perception checks, 11. And his proficiency is in unarmed combat, which is the hallmark of the Ki Fighter. Armor class for this particular class is determined by constitution plus either strength or dexterity +10. So his armor class is a very respectable 15. His initiative, determined by dex, is +2. And his speed is a whopping 40. A lot of that's got to do with the level ups that come from being a Ki Fighter. He's much faster as he grows in power. And speaking of movement, not only does he have the ability to run at speed 40, but he's got the ability to fly 10 and float 5 feet off of the ground. So that's really nice. Hit points, how I calculated it was I took the maximum at level 1 and then took the average of his hit dice plus constitution from there on out. So it was his hit die is a d12 for this particular class. Pretty barely hit die, which makes him a pretty tough boy. 49 hit points at level 4. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the additional features that he has. Of course, being part of the Frieza clan, he does have the ability to transform. Sorry, I don't have any kind of an image for what his second form would look like. Really hadn't had time to put that much thought into it. But when he transforms into his second form, he gets advantage on his strength and dexterity checks. So he can roll them twice and take the highest, which in the case of the dexterity checks is especially good, being coupled with his proficiency in it. An additional +2 to his melee attacks, which are going to be his bread and butter. The transformation lasts for a full hour, and then after a long or short rest, he can get it back. Alright. So, the Ki Fighter is kind of a reflavored monk, really. Higher powered monk. So he gets features like Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. So he can use a key point to do a couple extra strikes in. He can take a key point to dodge out of the way, or he can take a key point to disengage from the battle as a bonus action. And there's 3 different styles for the Ki Fighter. If you go on to dndwiki.com, which is one of the sources that I used for a lot of this stuff, along with some friends from Dawnforge cast. There's the Kaioshin style, which of course is kind of the hero style, you know, what would be used by the likes of Goku, Krillin, Tien Shinhan, and Piccolo. So that's considered the Kaioshin style. Includes such things like the Kamehameha, the Kaioken, and the Genki Dama. So what I chose for Jelatto here is I decided to go with the Kaioshin style, mostly because it's kind of, it makes sense for his race to learn that. And Jelatto in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is a very Ki-focused character. So that way, I have some good Ki attacks to pull from. In fact, as a matter of fact, for about 5 Ki points, he can fire off the Gallic Gun, which has a save DC attached to it. If the character being hit by it, the target does not save, they're stunned until the end of their next turn, and it's a pretty long range blast as well, range 100, whereas most of his Ki blasts are just at his fly range of fly 10. So, all right. By the way, in case you're wondering about these attack bonuses and why they're so high, despite the fact that, well, for instance, his charisma is not that high and his intelligence is not super high, there's a very good reason for that. Ki Fighters' attacks largely go off of Constitution or Dexterity. So, having like a +6 attack bonus, not out of the realm of possibility. And because of the proficiency to unarmed attacks get the D6 instead of a D4, and they become force damage. So, yeah, here you can see all the various different attacks that he has. Gallic Gun, pretty high powered, and has that nice little sub effect to it as well. Alright, so that is our boy Jelatto in a nutshell. So, I hope you like this video. If you do, please like, share, subscribe, all the wonderful things. Follow me on VidMe, you know. Please support me on Patreon. Next time on Fun 5e Builds, though, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking back to the main characters of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. We're going to take a look at one hell of a Saiyan. Till next time, keep it casual, y'all.
Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the bones, roll the bones. Why does it happen? Because it happens. Roll the bones, roll the bones.